Will we ever know that? And will that be made public? And could that be a reason why banks are reluctant to use that window? And for how long will this window be open? And who is the window opened for? Is it everybody?
So, would you write in your calendar, Melissa, to call me in March of 2025? Because that's when we're going to learn who the actual borrowers were at the window. It's a 2-year delay. I don't know if you're going to want to come back 2 years from now and figure that out. But
we have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And the NWO pulls off another magic trick. That's right, guys. It's going to be until 2025 until you actually find out who got the money. The same thing they did during the C word. Guys, you keep going with the playbook if it keeps working. And guys, we know this is definitely biblical. Now we have Trump talking about Armageddon. And we know it's right around the corner, but it's going to be orchestrated. We have Microsoft doing the AI pilot. Then all of a sudden, guys, we're going to have UFOs flying themselves. And of course, Project Bluebeam will be here. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
For the week ending this past Wednesday, and it is up by $297 billion as a result of a couple failed banks, as a result of borrowing at the discount window. Borrowing at the discount window rose by $148.2 billion. And then this new program that the Fed launched on Sunday in order to provide par value for high-quality collateral for the banks, it rose by first-time borrowing. It's $11.9 billion was borrowed by banks from this new Fed lending facility. Half of this increase, this $297 billion, is linked to bridge loans that the Fed, when there is a bank failure, normally provides and is guaranteed by the FDIC.
Where the promise of Bitcoin, in terms of its correlation to traditional financial markets, has finally separated, and where this banking crisis that we've seen first with Silvergate, that hasn't been in much of the media lately, but what we saw with Silicon Valley Bank, then Signature, now Credit Suisse, has definitely created a bull market for cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin being a big winner.
We have to separate the crypto situation from the SVB situation. I mean, SVB was not particularly exposed to crypto as like a fiat on and off ramp. I mean, yes, they supported some startups that happened to touch crypto, but I see Silvergate and Signature as totally different from Silicon Valley Bank. So you're right, of course, there was a failure of risk management at Silicon Valley Bank. They, for example, had an ESG committee, but they didn't have a chief risk officer for 9 months. But the other thing you have to remember is the reason that we have bank supervision is to be an early warning sign of those kinds of failures. So who supervised SVB? Well, the answer is the Federal Reserve. And who was raising interest rates? Again, the answer is the Federal Reserve. So you would think that... I'm sorry?
In all fairness, the regulatory side of the Fed isn't exactly sitting at the FOMC and making those decisions to buy and sell bonds. I mean, it's some poor schlub who has to sit there and go through a bunch of balance sheets all day. It's sort of like a different arm of the same institute.
I mean, Lawrence, I guess I would disagree with you a little bit there. I mean, one of the Dodd-Frank reforms was to create a Fed governor whose title was head of supervision across the system. Right. So that person sits on the FOMC and is in charge of bank regulation nationally. That chain of command absolutely is aware of interest rate risk and the interest rate risk created on a balance sheet that has long dated low interest rate assets. So there's no question SVB should have picked this up. I mean, they should have had a chief risk officer the entire time. But the backstop for failures like that is supposed to be bank supervision. If it isn't, then you have to ask yourself, why do we bother having bank supervision? What are they supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be picking up where the bank left off.
And guys, we know Brian Brooks is another NWO puppet. But we all know that SVB was a setup in order for them to bring in the backstops for these banks. The Fed printed all this money, and they knew once they raised rates, the system was going to break. So you have to know the goal, the fourth industrial revolution. They have to destroy this legacy market in order to give the fourth industrial revolution rise. And Fox News brings on the actor Brock Pierce, the Mighty Ducks. He says his banking situation is great for Bitcoin. And guys, we know the media plays the Hegelian dialectic. We know crypto had nothing to do with these banks collapsing. These banks were buying treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. These are government instruments. And they knew once interest rates rose, nobody was going to purchase these instruments. So in return, these banks would collapse. But the reason why Bitcoin got a pump, because the Fed is infusing more liquidity. They supposed to be shrinking the balance sheet. Instead, guys, is moving up. And because the masses don't understand finances, that's the reason why the NWO can get away with these types of acts. Guys, there's a reason why they don't teach finances in school. Because if everybody understood what's going on, it wouldn't work. That's the reason why they stay having you distracted, so therefore they can run the money in the back door or print money anytime they want. And we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you.
Madam Secretary, the President keeps saying he does not wish to have cuts in social. Is he aware that under current law, when the program goes broke in 9 years, that there will be a 24% benefit cut for those who are current recipients? Is he aware of that?
Well, it's clear that Social Security...
But is he, I apologize for interruption, but I have limited time. Is the President aware that when social goes broke in 9 years, under current law, there's a 24% cut in benefits for people who are currently receiving?
If we don't do anything about it, I think that's about right. But
okay, let me ask.
The President will wants to strengthen Social Security.
In the $4.5 trillion of taxes the President has proposed, are any of those taxes going to shore up Social Security? I actually know that answer. The answer is of the $4.5 trillion in taxes he has proposed, not a dime is going to shore up Social Security. Does the President know personally anybody who is dependent upon Social Security, and if their benefits are cut by 24%, they will slide into poverty? It's hard for you to know, so I'll give you a pass on that.
The President knows many people on Social Security.
Then why doesn't the President care?
He cares very deeply.
Then where is his plan?
He stands ready to work with
Congress. That's a lie,
to
because when a bipartisan group of senators has repeatedly requested to meet with him about social, so that somebody who is a current beneficiary will not see her benefits cut by 24%, we have not heard anything on our request. And we've made multiple requests to meet with the President. Now, you can't comment on that, I realize that, but that is a fact. And if you've been told to say he stands ready to meet, I will tell you there's absolutely no evidence, because we have not gotten our meeting.
Well, I believe the President does stand ready to work with Congress
empirically, that is not
to address this issue.
Now, the President in the past has proposed increasing taxes on those making over $400,000 to pay for it. Although he's not made that formally, he has said that in the past. Now, he's also proposed to tax them more to pay for Medicare, and also to close the debt and deficit. So what would the rates have to be on that 2% of Americans who earn over $400K in order to do Medicare, the debt and deficit, and also to address our 75-year shortfall in Social Security? Do you have any sense of what the rates would have to be?
Well, he has proposed explicit increases in tax rates on very high income.
But do you think it's realistic that he can pay for Medicare, debt and deficit, and also address a 75% shortfall in social, a 75-year shortfall in social, by only taxing, the only thing he's going to do is to lay higher taxes on those who make more than 2%. I'm sure there's a projection of how much those rates would have to be. Can you tell us what those rates would have to be to do everything he is saying?
I can't tell you that, but I do know that he's put on the table many proposals that would raise very substantial revenues.
But of that 4.5 trillion, not a dime is going to social. And if you cannot tell me, I presume that they've not actually modeled what those rates would have to be, which tells me that he's actually not been developing his plan. Now, this is incredibly worrisome from a president who should be sympathetic with someone who, under current law, is going to get a 24% cut.
The president is completely committed to protecting seniors who rely on Social Security.
Now, if we doubled our debt to GDP ratio, just theoretically, if you will, an aside from our conversation, if we double that GDP to debt ratio, what effect would that have on the economy?
So right now, and in the president's budget proposal,
I want to ask you just the theoretical independently of the budget proposal.
If we were to double the debt to GDP ratio?
Yes.
I don't see why we would need
But
to
if we
double.
did, just you're an economist, if we did, what would be the effect upon the economy?
Well, it would tend to raise net interest costs.
Would it be a negative effect on the economy? Of course it would be.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, of course it would be. We've actually modeled this. For the president to do nothing, let's assume that we cast aside current law and we just double the national debt, and that's what it would do. It would have a devastating effect upon the economy. CBO says they cannot model the deleterious effects that would occur because of that. So we have a situation where the president has not proposed a single plan. He has turned down multiple requests for meetings with senators, and our options are a 24% cut on a person currently receiving, doubling our national debt, which CBO says cannot be modeled, and you agree that would be a deleterious effect. And he's not modeled the tax rates that would be required if he just wants to raise taxes.
Look, what I know is that the president is committed to Social Security. He stands ready to work with Congress, and he's put on
I'm
the
out of
table
time. I don't mean to be rude, but since I've had multiple
proposals.
requests on a bipartisan basis to meet with him and he's turned everyone down, that rings hollow.
My colleagues are out of time, and I would just caution colleagues, we got plenty of differences around here, but accusing witnesses of lying is over the line.
I accept that, and I did not mean that for the Madam Secretary, who is merely saying that which she's been told. I'm saying it for an empiric observation. When the president says he's ready to meet, then he's turned down multiple.
The time of the gentleman's expired. Accusing witnesses of lying.
But I did not accuse her.
Next, we have Senator Carper.
Welcome to the Finance Committee, Secretary Yellen.
Thank you very much.
We're normally a pretty jovial group, but we'll get back on track here in a sec. But thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for taking on a tough job and making us proud.
And guys, I told you I'd bring you a Janet Yellen clip, and this was the best one. A little truth in there, still playing the Hegelian dialectic. But guys, when it comes to Social Security, we won't have any more Social Security. We won't have any more Medicaid. It'll all be bundled up in universal basic income. In 9 years, the robots, algorithms, and drones would have taken over the economy, and the sheep would be in the metaverse. And guys, since my lifetime, I've seen the Fed get away with trillions, the big banks get away with trillions, the corporations get away with trillions, the politicians get away with billions. Just in this last year, we've seen Ukraine get billions. But when it comes to the average hard-working person, they get nothing. And if only the sheep would wake up, this system would fall apart. But guys, like I told you, you have less than 24 months to wake your friends and family, and for you to get in the lab and come up with your plan. Because in less than 3 days, guys, we saw the Fed get away with $270 billion. And you just heard the congressman tell you that Janet Yellen is making us proud, is making them proud. She's not making us proud. Guys, this plan was put together hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and now it's about to end. So you definitely have a choice to decide whether you want to be on the right side of history. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Svb, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Long COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.